Yeah, absolutely stunning. It puts me in a meditative state of mind. Peace be with you, everyone. Welcome to my channel. My name is Trevor. Very grateful to have you here. And today's video is going to be my Mount Rushmore of Blue fragrances. So TLTG Reviews, Ross did a tag video. It was an open tag, and he wanted to know from the community what your top 4 or iconic blue fragrances are. So he went a little bit in the direction of iconic in terms of game-changing, kind of like the original Acqua di Gio, light blue intense EDT, or maybe like the non-intense, just Dolce & Gabbana light blue, the original Polo blue, and then he also included this one, which I also think is worthy of mention. This is Buddhist Chanel Parfum. I've got the EDT and the Parfum. I haven't tried the EDP. I have the Eau de Toilette. I haven't tried the EDP, but I think the Parfum is much more my speed, even though I haven't tried the EDP. This one just has much more of a grown-up feel to it than the EDT does, at least. It's more autumnal, but also a little bit more rich and full of depth and almost like smoothness, whereas at least the citric sort of qualities are a little bit more pronounced and sharp in the Eau de Toilette. So yeah, this just has a certain smooth, rich maturity about it that I really adore, and I think this is one of the most well-composed, well-balanced fragrances in my entire collection, and surely does deserve a place in the blue fragrance Mount Rushmore. So my next 3, this next one here I actually bought off of Ross's influence, so thank you, Ross, for covering this one. This is Tom Ford's Costa Azzurra Parfum. Ross described this as somewhat of a blue-green fragrance, and I would have to 100% agree. There is a cypress in here, and not so much of an aquatic feel as like a marine feel, if that makes sense. Like almost if you're in a cypress forest somewhere and you can see a coastline off into the distance and the salt in the air, or like maybe not the salt, but just like that oceanic feeling is coming in off into the distance, but it's not quite, you don't quite feel the wetness or anything like that. This one kind of has a little bit of almost like a more woody cypress tinge or tint on the Acqua di Gio DNA. This somewhat reminds me, or I reach for this in similar situations that I would reach for, let's say, Acqua di Gio Profondo, or Profumo, I'm sorry. It's definitely just, again, like the Bleu de Chanel Parfum, it has a certain rich quality to it, a rich woodiness, a very smooth, rich quality to it that just makes me feel luxurious, well put together, and of a serious nature. And that's kind of what I like going for in my blue fragrances these days. I know they have a certain archetype sometimes as being like shower gel, sporty, a little bit more of the youthful profile, but for me, my blue fragrances, I love to have that blue versatility, yet a statement in terms of maturity, class, and seriousness, I think is the right word I'm looking for. So moving on to the next one in my blue fragrance Mount Rushmore, we've got Narciso Rodriguez Bleu Noir Eau de Parfum. So I think this one was put on the map for me by Michela at Curly Fragrance, but I didn't end up picking it up until Justin Copeland also started saying that he was a big fan of this one. My tastes align with Justin pretty well, and I wasn't disappointed picking this one up. It definitely has it harkens a little bit to the Cartier Declaration DNA, which is something I've been a long time fan of. If you're not familiar with that fragrance, it's a little bit old school and dated for some people, and it exhibits a cumin note that can come off like BO at times. So this kind of replicates that a little bit. It does have a sort of second skin, sexy, pheromonal, sweaty kind of tinge to it, but it's not sweaty in a perspicuous way. It's like almost just like the skin that you have fresh out of a shower, just nice and clean and exuberant, and but it also has a spicy sort of cardamom woodiness to it, the way that the original Cartier did, but that the musk note in here is what sets it apart. A very heavy, clean musk, and the combination, all of which just comes together like it doesn't quite smell like shower gel, but it smells like you do when exiting a shower. Just very fresh, clean, a little bit warm. Amazing stuff, super versatile. One of my favorites for the spring and the autumn. Perfect transitional fragrance in my opinion. And that brings us to our final contender or member of this blue fragrance, Mount Rushmore. One that I recently got a full bottle of. I'd been sitting on a sample for a very long time. It's arguably, I'm kind of, how do I want to say this? It's not that blue per se in the terms of its scent profile. It's very unique, but it does have a nod to blue in the name, and the old bottles of this were in blue bottles. But it's kind of more of an incense based fragrance than a blue, but it does have some oceanic qualities. Very unique. One of my favorites in my collection, easily I think top 3 right now, and one that I would consider a personal signature at this point because no one's wearing it. It's kind of under the radar, but it's my favorite incense fragrance for sure, possibly my favorite blue fragrance, if you could call it that. That is Copal Azur. So this is from the house of Aedes Devenustis. They started in 2012, I believe, and this fragrance opens up with a very ozonic salt. So it feels very much like a fresh blast of ocean water crashing up on waves and rocks, and you're getting a little bit of that very brisk, cold, like this definitely has that cooling effect like Eau Givray does, because the juniper berry, it feels like it's cooling the air around you, but that opening provides that certain, I don't even want to say mentholic because it's cold in like a temperature way. It isn't even like cold in like a minty way. It's just very something visceral that you feel that feels like a cold gust of ocean air because it's very salty also. And that salt and ocean air, cool ozonic quality lasts in the beginning of this fragrance for about an hour. Very beautiful opening. And the rest of the fragrance is a composition of 3 different types of frankincense, and so it's not entirely, it's not even very smoky of a fragrance per se, despite being a incense-based fragrance and being predominantly composed of incense. I think I don't know if it was 30 or 80% of the entire perfume concentration in here is frankincense. But so frankincense, if you ever had in a essential oil concentrate, it has qualities to it that's almost very fizzy and bright and cola-like, and this has that. It reminds me of, if this is a blue-green fragrance, I would say that this in some sense is like a blue and gold fragrance. It reminds me of like a shimmering sparkle of like gold glitter amidst this like white powder of ocean salt. Amazing, amazing stuff. Very potent, powerful. About 6 hours longevity though, but during that time it is kind of like a beast mode projector. Yeah, absolutely stunning. It puts me in a meditative state of mind. It has a very spiritual feel to it. In some sense, the composition comes together like burning sage. And that's kind of like what inspired this fragrance. The copal is a type of incense like frankincense, but you can't distill its scent. So this is kind of like it has a similar story to the fougere genre, in that fern is something that you can't distill a scent profile out of. Copal is an incense that it has a scent unlike fern, but you can't distill the scent, so they tried to replicate that here. I think the creative lead on this one was surfing or hiking or something on an ocean pavilion in the South Americas, I believe. Copal is I think like an Aztec incense that they use in similar ways that the West has used frankincense, burning for spiritual, like setting a spiritual tone for meditative reasons. And like I said, that's puts me in this state of mind. It's a very spiritual fragrance, and that's sort of my other nerd avenue. I'm pretty into like comparative religion and stuff like that, so this one resonates with me very much. And like I said, stunning blue fragrance, one of the best frankincense fragrance I've ever gotten my nose on. Definitely sample this one though, do not blind buy it. They do not put these on the discounters. You have to get it directly from the niche house, and it is $245 for 100 ml. So that being said, that is the price that they launched in 2012 with, and they haven't increased them despite the inflation and everything. So there's that, but it's still you know, you're gonna be paying more for this than like a Creed at the discounters a lot of the time. So try it out though, I highly recommend it, and it's definitely the #1 spot on my Blue fragrance Mount Rushmore. Despite this one being sort of the originator of the genre, if I had to own only one for myself personally, this is gonna be the one. So hopefully I didn't spend too much time on the Copal Azur there. It's just like a fragrance that nobody's talking about in the community, and it's one of my personal favorites, so I wanted to put it on the map a bit. Again, thank you, Ross, for starting this tag. It was really fun, and it actually initiated me to pull the trigger on buying this for this video, because I'd been sitting on the sample for about a month, and you know, it was just like kind of a big investment, but I'm absolutely ecstatic that I have it now. So again, thank you, Ross, and thank you for putting me onto this one as well. And again, this is an open tag. If you are a content creator and have a Mount Rushmore of blue fragrances you would like to share with the community, I encourage you to hop on it as well. And as always, I appreciate you sticking with me to the end of the video. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.